are there any real moral truths, or is it all in some sense subjective? And then there's a further question of, okay, if there is a moral truth or if there isn't, does it really matter? And I'll say when I was starting out in my career as a philosopher, I thought it was very important to figure out whether or not there's any objective moral truth. I thought that was the big question, and I wrote my dissertation actually on that question. And I came to a rather skeptical conclusion about whether or not there could really be real moral truth. Not just truth, but real moral truth. I'm now inclined to think that that's actually not the most important question, because what really, let's say you decide that there's no moral truth. Okay, but we still have to make decisions about what we're going to do with our lives as individuals and how we're going to organize our society. And as long as you think that some answers are in some sense better than others, as long as you think that you don't want to just choose randomly, you're going to choose in light of certain values that you have and that you may share with other people, then why is it so important whether or not there's moral truth with a capital M and a capital T, or whether there's something like what we would agree on if we were better informed and more rational? And you might say, well, okay, that doesn't have to be the truth. Maybe there's some alien civilization that's just as informed and just as rational that would come to a different answer. But I think for practical purposes here on Earth, what really matters is what can bring us together, not whether or not what we ultimately agree on is the truth in some objective sense, right? I mean, one analogy here would be with our color perception, that, at least speaking for myself, and I think this is true for most people, you come into the world and you think that colors are things that are just out there. So this curtain there is red, and it's not a feature of my mind that makes it red, it's just red in the same way that it has a certain height and a certain width, right? And then we've learned, through science of biology and psychology and aspects of physics, that actually what's really out there are properties of reflecting wavelengths of light, but the redness of the red is really coming from our minds. Now, what I would say is, it would be kind of silly to live our everyday lives as if, really living the truth that colors are in our minds, right? So, imagine if you were a witness in a trial and someone says, so was there a blue van parked outside the bank at 3 o'clock? It would be ridiculous to say no, because colors don't really exist, and so the van is not really blue, right? In a certain sense, it doesn't matter. Now, if we lived in a world in which there were a lot of different types of humans with different visual systems, and what looks blue, some of the things that look blue to me look like a lot of different colors to somebody else, then we would have to change the way we talk. So I think it's really a question of what matters most is not, is there some objective moral truth that transcends human values? Instead, is there enough common ground in our human values that we can arrive on an answer that's true or true enough for our purposes?